go to the chat box. Maybe some have some questions already. Marlon Pascual, good evening, sir. Marlon. Ed B, good evening, Sir Will. Then Richard, I believe, sir, that others are not yet adopting the flammable toxic gas detector since it is more expensive than the ordinary smoke detectors, which are, of course, the main requirements of the fire code. Yeah, as I was mentioning, Richard, no, the the simplest that we are providing as of today in our design is the smoke detectors and the heat detectors. But I'm talking about what happened in Glorieta 2. I'm talking about what happened in Serendra and some other, no, and also what happened at the Resorts World before, because there are no detectors yet provided. People die, no. Resorts World fire incident, 37 people died. In the Davao mall fire in December 2017, same. You know, all of those fires, Manor fire, the ozone disco, and all of those fires, the death there were caused by carbon monoxide. No? Carbon monoxide. Because most of these are enclosed. In the ozone is an air-conditioned place. So it was carbon monoxide. So with Manor is a hotel. So the hotel rooms are air-conditioned. See? So lung center is also air-conditioned. So, you know. So all of this, if you do not provide for this carbon monoxide detector, if a fire happens, then many people will die. Those who are of weaker physical condition, like those people who have emphysema, they have lung problem, you have hika, asthma, or maybe those that are high blood, have difficulty of breathing or running or what, they are the candidates. And of course, even the pregnant women, even the children who may be there in the building will have difficulty running, because the stronger ones will have a greater chance of saving themselves. The stronger one, the more athletic people will be able to run and go to the fire exits. But how about the pregnant women? How about the young people, the young boys or girls that are living inside them? How about those that have sickness? The old people, so they will become candidates. Now, if you provide this detection and extraction automatically, at least as they are still trying to leave the room on a slow pace, slowly, at least they will not be exposed to the carbon monoxide poisoning. And if you detect a toxic gas like hydrogen sulfide, you will be able to remove it from inside, no? Or if you have a flammable gas like methane, you'll be able to alarm and bring it out. So therefore, if you provide this toxic gas detection and extraction that I'm talking about, then, or make it mandatory, then you will be able to increase the level of safety of your buildings. Okay? So let's just analyze what is the standards of Europe, no? So in Europe, they would just simply provide for smoke extraction. So take note, they indicate smoke to be extracted, and they do not mention anything on toxic gas. There's no written thing here about toxic gas. Of course, they have air pressurization, they have fire resisting damper, they have smoke exhaust fan, they have smoke damper, but there is no mention of carbon monoxide or toxic gas. See? Same with this. Positive pressure ventilation. So we're talking about air pressurization of the stairwell, and there is extraction inside the room. So it doesn't mention of carbon monoxide. None of them. So with this is an American drawing, which I was able to check on the internet. But there is none. No carbon monoxide mentioned. They just mentioned smoke here. Smoke exhaust. Supply fan. So smoke detectors. But there is no carbon monoxide detector. Okay, so It has been already 2 years since I started to advocate for this. That was something like August of 2017 when I started to talk about this carbon monoxide detector. Okay, so parking areas should also be provided with carbon monoxide detector with exhaust fan. So here are 2 exhaust fan on this side, and there is also 2 exhaust fan on the other side. So these 2 here on the left side will be blowing in fresh air inside, and this will be bringing out the air inside the parking area. That is when you have cars parked that are running and there's not enough oxygen or air inside, so you produce carbon monoxide. And a lesson in the Kentex fire is this, no? Take note, especially those who are architects. You would take note that the ridge, the apex of the building, of the Kentex building factory, is without a ventilation. You take note of this blue colored roof here. There is a ventilator on the top. This one. And so with this building, there is a vent. And so with this maroon colored building at the back, it has a vent. But this building doesn't have a vent. So this building and the Kentex buildings do not have vents. So my point is, if you have this vent, or these buildings that have vents, if you have this vent, chances are your carbon monoxide that may be produced when there is this fire will come out of these vents, and therefore reducing the chances of people being poisoned inside. The reason why so many people died in the Kentex fire is because of this. No ventilation on the roofs. Take note, this one, no vent. Both the Kentex building or warehouse building, factory building do not have the vents. So that's my suggestion for architects to provide this vent, for contractors and for owners, and of course for the building officials also to take note of this requirement, that as much as possible we should provide this vent, so that in case of fire, chances are you will allow the smoke, which is carbon monoxide, to come out of this. Remember, carbon monoxide is lighter than air. Okay, and here's a picture of the ground floor of the Kentex factory building. The fire started here. There is a flammable materials here stored, caught fire, and then the wind was coming inside the warehouse, so suffocating the people inside the factory building. Okay, so even this kind of warehouse should also be provided with exhaust fan, like this one, exhaust ventilators, so that if there is fire, you will be able to suck out the smoke. At least the people inside your warehouse will be able to run for safety. Okay, so now we've done through with toxic gas detection and extraction, as well as smoke extraction. Now we proceed with the next topic, air pressurization. The fire exits must be assured to be safe for people to run through, to exit through, in order that the people who will be running for their safety to the fire exits will have a greater chance of not being suffocated. No? So here is a picture of a stairwell exhaust fan. A pressurization fan. It's not an exhaust fan. It is a fan that would get fresh air from outside of the building and put it inside the stairwell, the top of the stairwell. So here is another drawing. So you have the fan here, the stairwell fan here, and at the top, and when it operates, it would bring in air to inside the stairwell. No, so if you have a stairwell that is not if you have a stairwell that is enclosed, so you must have this variable. You have this fan, stairwell fan, that would increase the pressure inside so that the smoke from the rooms would not come out and will not go to the stairwell, and therefore the people running out of those burning rooms will be able to exit much easier, no, than when you don't have this. Because if you don't have this, definitely the smoke will come out of the exit door and it will suffocate the people escaping from the burning room. Okay? So that's stairwell pressurization, or also known as NFPA 92. And of course, today, with the technology of inverter control, this motor now uses this variable frequency drive. Okay, no longer using the across the line or full voltage motor run or the Y delta run. No more. You have to use this variable frequency controller. Okay, and here is a way to size it up. I already indicated for a 22-story building. Not a 22, 11-story building. The calculated value of the fan, capacity of the fan is CFM, is 24,278, and the fan was selected at 29,000 cubic feet per minute, and it is driven by a 15 horsepower motor and controlled by variable frequency drive. Okay, so the pressurization fan maintains something like 3 to 5 psi pressure, a little higher than the pressure inside the burning room. Okay, now we go to fire extinguishing agents. So after we talk of the fire exits, we talk of the smoke detection and heat detection, then we talk of toxic gas detection, and then we talk of the air pressurization of the escape routes. Now we go to extinguishing means, no? So we'll start with the agents. So agents, there are so many agents available today. Of course, they're a little bit more expensive. Water is the cheapest extinguishing agent. It is readily available. Okay, extinguishing agents, substance contained in portable fire extinguishers that puts out a fire. Various chemicals are used, including water. It is the best agent, no? For a particular hazard, depends on several factors. Types of materials involved, anticipated size of the fire. So, depending on this, you would use different kinds of agents. Fire safety is very important. So, different fires require different extinguishing agents.
Fire safety. Different types of fires require different extinguishing agents. Water is used on Class A fire only to remove heat. Dry chemicals are used on types A, B, or C. It inhibits chemical reactions. Wet chemical is used on Class K fires. It extinguishes fire by forming a soapy foam blanket over the burning liquid and cooling the temperature below its ignition point. Sometimes, it can be used on Class B or Class C fires. Carbon dioxide is used on type B or C. It removes oxygen from the fire. It is ineffective on Class A fires because the fire can continue to smolder and possibly reignite. Also, the high-pressure discharge can cause the burning materials to scatter with a Class A fire. Halogenated or clean agent is used mainly on Class C fires, but it can also be used on Class A and Class B fires. These types of extinguishers remove also the oxygen from the fire.
Then here is a yellow-colored fire extinguisher. Fire extinguisher of types: combustible metal, Class D fires, 2 primary extinguishing agents, sodium chloride and copper-based dry powder. Extinguishes by smoldering burning materials, 6 to 8 feet maximum effective range. So because of the heat is so hot, is so dangerous, you have to be far from the fire. Okay, the metal fire. Okay. Then fire extinguisher types, wet chemical uses potassium acetate as the extinguishing agent, extinguishes by cooling and forming foam blanket to prevent reignition. 40 seconds discharge time, 10 to 12 feet maximum effective range, so it's a little farther than the yellow one earlier. On a Class K fires, don't use until after mixed extinguishing system has activated. So there are some conditions on its use. Clean agent fire. So definition is fire suppression system whose means of extinguishment does not cause damage in addition to that which was caused by the fire itself. Okay, and here is the illustration for the application of the FM200. You know, when I was a young engineer, there was this halon, HALON. But it was found out that this substance halon is producing effects detrimental to the ozone layer. So eventually, it was banned because of this. And today, it is replaced by this FM200. Okay, so here you have these two cylinders as the agent cylinder, agent storage containers, these ones. And you have their piping here, the orange piping, and you would have the nozzles here. 4 nozzles, discharge nozzles, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So equally spaced on top of the room that should be protected. You will notice that there are fire detectors. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And they would send a signal to your control panel which would automatically allow the flow of the discharge of the agent. Okay. Enclosure pressure venting. There is also the equipment shutdown, HVAC shutdown, building fire alarm, and dedicated controls. Okay, so that's how this FM200 operates. Similar to Einergen also and Novec. Almost similar. So the FM200 fire suppression is described as fire suppression is also known as HFC227. It is a waterless fire protection system. It is discharged in the wrist within 10 seconds and suppresses the fire immediately. FM200 fire suppression is found as an active compound, as a propellant in medical inhalers. This goes without saying that FM200 gas is extremely safe for occupied spaces with the correct fire suppression design. There is a common misconception that FM200 gas reduces oxygen. This is not true. FM200 is synthetic chemical fire suppression gas and extinguishes a fire by removing the free radicals or heat elements from the fire triangle. That means the oxygen, heat, and fuel. And here is a picture of how this FM200 look like. Okay. And here is another illustration also. Here is the FM200 source, and with piping. What piping would they use? My suggestion is for you to use BI piping, black iron pipe, or mild steel pipe. Okay. And here is another illustration of how it operates with all the nozzles spewing the gas. And another kitchen showing the agents. And these tanks here are the agents. And in electrical, usually switch gears, control panels, and switch gears, electrical switchboards can be provided with with the necessary piping to the different components, so that the moment you detect fire, this gas would be spewed in the area and would put off the fire very fast. Here is another installation where you have a switch gear, and you would have the agent in here with the piping. So that means the piping goes inside the switch gear, and therefore it would protect your switch gear from against burning. So in a control room where you have control desk console like this, you can also provide this type of protection with nozels on both sides. So this to protect your equipment the moment there is a heat or a fire or a knock flash that may happen, then it would operate immediately. Okay, next. And as an alternate to the FM200, you have here Novec. Novec is, I think, a product of 3M. 3M, I think. Let me see. Okay. 3M Novec. Yeah, correct. 3M is the one that produced this. You know, 3M, the popular 3M, no? Novec 1230 Fire Protection Fluid is a next generation halon alternative offering outstanding performance, large margin of safety, and an excellent environmental profile. Zero ozone depletion potential, no, not like in the halon. 5-day atmospheric lifetime. Global warming potential of 1. A large margin of safety for occupied spaces. Novec 1230 Fire Protection Fluid is based on a proprietary chemical from 3M called fluoroketone. The full chemical name for this compound is dodecafluoro-2-methylpentan -3-1. It's ASTRAE nomenclature. The way it is designated in the NFPA 2001 and ISO 14520 Clean Agent Standard is FK-5-1-12. Novec 1230 fluid offers a unique combination of safety, low environmental impact, and extinguishing performance, making it the first chemical halon replacement to offer viable, long-term, sustainable technology for spatial hazards fire protection. So now we have as a replacement to the halon, we have the FM200 and now the Novec. Okay, and here is a sample of installation of the Novec. The brand is Kide Fire System. So you would see the agent tank and the piping here, okay, supplying to the switchgear. Clean agent fire suppression. Energen is a third one. Energen is a product of OneSol Corporation. Is composed of 3 gases: 52% nitrogen, 40% argon, 8% carbon dioxide. Energen systems reduce the level of oxygen to about 12.5%, which is sufficient for human safety, but not sufficient to sustain fire. So that's how this Energen works. No? And here is a picture of that argon gas or argonite gas, which is also inert gas. And here is a tabulation matrix prepared by Siemens showing some of the different agents. Let's take a look at them. Well, before we proceed, let me go back to the chat box. Again, I'm not feeling so well, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, Mark Ramsey is here. Good evening. Your Yuri Taraki, how about oxy reduction? Oxygen reduction? Yes, it can be. But oxygen, if you have a person inside the room and you reduce the oxygen, then there is the danger. Okay? So, Yuri Taraki, we have Novec 1230 fire suppressant in our substation. Very good. Where is that substation, Yuri Taraki? Please mention it. So, that will be for the reference of everyone. Okay? Now we go back. So, let's just see what Siemens has done to compare all these clean agents and inert gases. So, it mentioned here, as first is FM200. No? Stored pressure is 360 psi. Safety factor is 28%. Gross weight, I think. No? And then most common key benefits. Most common, easy to obtain, service, low pressure. Then disadvantage, damage to the environment. So Siemens says that FM200 damages the environment. Okay. Let's see, Novec. Novec is produced by 3M. So, 360 PSI, 112 safety factor. GWP is 1. Then, wide safety margin, good for environment, and it is low pressure. Since 3M only introduced it in 2003, it is relatively new. Okay. ECAR or FE25, 609 PSI, so very high. Minus 22% factor, 2,800 for GWP. Less agent required, maybe a drop in replacement of halon. Maybe a drop in the replacement of halon. So it says it is a possible replacement. Then dangerous to humans, maybe outlawed again. Oh my God! So this is an X. So, dangerous to humans. Okay. Let's go to FE13. Maybe it's almost the same with this ECAR, no? 609, 67, 11,700. Very effective. Key disadvantage, not typically used for occupied areas. Not good for environment. So, this is also no good. Energen. 2,900 PSI, so very, very high pressure. Safety factor is 10. 0 GWP. Good for environment. Close to atmospheric density. 60-second discharge time. So 1 minute. 40% volume added to room. Up to 10%, up to 10 times as many cylinders. So very bulky. So you need so many cylinders. Okay. Okay, that's Energen. Argonite, same pressure, 13%, same as above and easier to refill than Energen. Same as above and new 180-degree nozzles. Oh my God. So same as, so because Energen is also Argonite. Carbon dioxide, this is 2,900 PSI. It is lethal because it totally displaces oxygen. Very effective, easy to refill. Not permitted to use in occupied areas. So, like I said, if you have occupied areas, if you have people working inside the rooms, then you do not like CO2. Okay? So, what is then is the best? Let us review again. FM200, damage the environment. Novec, fairly new, but it seems there's no negative. ECARO, dangerous to humans. FE13, same. Energen, 60-second discharge time, 40 more volume added, up to 10%. So it's very big, 10%. So, same as above. Oh my God. So, it seems like Novec, although it is fairly new, is the one that is with no negative remarks by Siemens. I remember 3M is an American company and Siemens is a German company. So, do they have any relations? Anyway. That is how Siemens interprets the performance of these gases. So it says Novec is much better, no? Wide safety margin, good for environment, low pressure. Okay? So nitrogen gas can also be used. The air is 80% nitrogen roughly and 20% oxygen. Okay, so therefore nitrogen is plenty in the atmosphere. So you just need to produce nitrogen gas. You can also have an equipment that can produce nitrogen at site, no? In other words, near the place of application, you can produce this equipment that can produce nitrogen, which can already be injected to your room. But of course, it must be not occupied, because the moment you introduce plenty of oxygen inside the room, then you are displacing oxygen. Okay? Why is fire extinguished with nitrogen? Continuous combustion requires more than 15% of oxygen concentration by volume. The NN100 system will suppress a fire by reducing the oxygen concentration down to 12.5% with nitrogen gas discharge. Let us see this, no? So this is the NN100 system that it mentions. It's a means of processing, no? So it is a system that produces nitrogen from air. So take note here, you have air compression, then air treatment, then you have absorption, separation, and then here now you have nitrogen accumulation, and then the nitrogen is injected to your switchgear or equipment. So it produces this system, 95% nitrogen. Now available is the new and more economical technology for fire suppression, the use of in situ production of nitrogen gas for fire protection systems, an alternative to fire water sprinkler systems and to the expensive FM200 Novec or Energen system. This system is fairly new. Of course, nitrogen is included in those. It is included in the Novec, included in the FM200, and included in the Energen. But if you compare the prices of FM200, Novec, and Energen, they are very expensive. What this slide is mentioning is you can have this equipment that now operates so that it will produce 95% nitrogen, just simply getting it from the air. See, the feed is 21% oxygen, 79% nitrogen. Okay, so this is good for call centers, business process outsourcing, avoiding damage on PCs and other electronic equipment rather than the conventional water sprinkler system. Okay. So nitrogen is also used to reduce corrosion inside BI pipes. So that is when you inject nitrogen inside your hydraulic system.